Prosecutor has just been indicted, and many people believe that District Attorney Fani Willis will be next. Although there are some who believe that Governor Brian Kemp will keep Fanny Willis away from any charges. But we'll go into that in a little bit later in this video. But let's talk about Solicitor Stephanie Woodard and her many escapades of using taxpayer money for her personal expenses. Now, some critics they're even saying that she used government funds as kind of like a piggy bank so that she wouldn't have to use her own money for some of her bills. Now, with that being said, do you remember any other prosecutor that may have done something similar? Maybe a prosecutor, maybe a district attorney out in Fulton County who misused almost $500,000 of government grant money? Any names come to mind? Well, while you guys think about that, let's check out exactly what Miss Woodard spent taxpayer money on. And just to kind of like set expectations right out the gate, she classified the purchase of baseball caps for Governor Brian Kemp's reelection efforts as spending on victims or witnesses. Now, this again reminds me of the DA's office who were given money to spend on the youth of Fulton County. But instead, they wanted to buy swag, computers, and travel. Does that sound familiar to you guys? By the way, if you guys haven't already, please take a second, hit the like button for the video. It really means a lot to me. And also want to thank you guys so much for sharing the video and for subscribing to the channel. We got a few folks coming into the live already. We got Buzz Alman, we got Brandy Philippa, Guadalupe Rubino, Carol McCarty, Greg Grabitz. Awesome. All right, so I guess this idea of corruption out in Georgia is a little more of the norm. But here's a report talking about Miss Woodard's actions out there. It's getting wild, guys. Take a listen.
A Hall County elected prosecutor finds herself on the other side of the justice system tonight.
A grand jury indicted longtime Solicitor General Stephanie Woodard today following a year and a half of investigations by the Fox 5 team into her spending. She's charged with 24 felony counts, including the theft of nearly $4,200 in government funds. But Woodard's attorneys say the case against her is, quote, utterly misguided.
IT reporter Johnny Edwards has followed this story all day and joins us now with the latest. Johnny?
Well, after hearing, Stephanie Woodard had her booking photo taken at the Hall County Jail, then released on her own recognizance. She's accused of false expense reports and illegal purchases, a pillow and pillowcase from Target, an SAT prep course, cremating a dog. The list goes on. A Hall County grand jury accusing the county's longtime Solicitor General of betraying the public trust, charging Stephanie Woodard with 13 counts of false statements and writings and 11 counts of theft by taking, all felonies. It's a staggering fall from grace by a top prosecutor, but Woodard pushing back in a statement released by her attorneys, saying, the decision by the Attorney General's office to institute charges against her in this absurd indictment is unfathomable and a waste of court time and taxpayer dollars. Attorney General Chris Carr once on a first-name basis with Woodard, calling in the GBI on her in late 2022. The probe launched after a Fox 5 I-team investigation discovered thousands of dollars budgeted to help crime victims, instead spent by Woodard on herself or family members. Expensive earbuds, noise-reducing headphones, pillows, jewelry repair, antique shopping sprees, baseball caps for Governor Kemp's reelection efforts, all of it classified in the books as spending for victims or witnesses. She even allegedly spent public money cremating her dog. Rick Farmer from Precious Memories Crematory remembers the $190 expense well. He said that GBI took his statement.
And it was paid to me for her dog.
The I-team examined almost 2 years of receipts. Our investigation also revealing she spent more than $7,000 on meals for herself and staff, and over $1,400 for an SAT prep course. She blacked out the name of the supposed victim receiving that SAT help.
This shows a kind of callous disregard, not only for her office, not only for her oath of office, but for the people she's supposed to be protecting and helping.
Our reporting also found double dipping involving the Prosecuting Attorneys Council summer conference on Jekyll Island in 2022. Woodard submitted an expense report to Hall County for food and parking, then filed an identical report with the conference organizers, being reimbursed twice. In an earlier statement, Woodard.
Well, the dirt is coming out here in Georgia, guys. I don't know what's going on. Buzz Allman's like, come on, what the F? Yeah. Happy Sunday, guys. Happy Sunday. If you guys haven't already, please hit the like button. Are you guys enjoying the show? Hope you are. So I took a year, it took a year. Actually, it was more closer to a year and a half of the investigations to show the public that this particular official was potentially dipping into taxpayer dollars here. And now I just got to ask you guys, do any of you guys believe that these officials can ever justify using our money for their own purchases? Let me know, guys. Are you okay with your taxpayer dollars paying for their personal purchases? Because a lot of legal experts are saying that this is completely unprofessional. And it's also a very growing concern within Georgia, as we've been seeing like all sorts of corruption going on over there. And it's growing at an alarming rate. And I don't know if it's growing at an alarming rate or is it just being exposed faster and faster. But some people are saying, hey, this has been going on for a long time. And, can you imagine like how much lower your taxes could be if there was not this corruption going on? Like how much more money you would have in your bank account, more money you could keep in your own paychecks, and what you could do with that money if you weren't being taxed so high because the money would be more efficiently used. I mean, you could invest more in your 401k, your retirement accounts, maybe take nicer, more frequent vacations with your family. Maybe take that money and put it toward a down payment on your house, renovate your house. Who knows what you could use that money for? Some people are struggling with groceries. I don't know. But the simple fact of the matter is that the money is not being used in a manner that it was intended. And this is where a lot of people have an issue with it. But here's something that I realized with this investigation. We're taking thousands of dollars here. Not we. She's taking, we're talking about thousands of dollars here, right? And, while that is, it's a significant amount of money. And they investigated her because they saw a concern that she was misusing federal funds, right? But granted, this is thousands of dollars here. So what's the deal with Fanny Willis, right? So, Willis has almost complete control over their budget. At least this was identified in multiple hearings. Senator Jim Jordan, a lot of you guys remember he kind of initiated the investigation, requested or submitted a subpoena. Ultimately, and I think it's somewhere around like $30 million or so, a whistleblower out of Fanny Willis's office called her out. Because her staff was planning to use like $500,000 on personal expenses rather than to put up a center for the youth in Fulton County. And then there's these allegations surrounding that, she allegedly fired the whistleblower for telling the truth. She also paid her ex-lover, Nathan Wade, almost $1 million within about a year or two. Some people estimate that it's about 10 times more compared to the other prosecutors that she had in her office. So, thank you. Guadalupe Rubino said, thank God for Amanda Timpson. So, and this is money that they most certainly, could have, that they likely used. I don't want to say certainly, they likely used to go on fancy vacations with. And so Stephanie Woodard, the woman who we're talking about right now, she used up thousands of dollars of taxpayer money, and she's facing multiple felony charges. But Fanny Willis can practically do the same thing multiplied by 10, and nothing happens to her. Isn't that interesting, though? She's allegedly misused millions of dollars in federal grant money, and she's completely fine. Something just doesn't make sense here. And, we should be thankful to Donald Trump's attorney, Ashley Merchant, because she called to attention Fanny Willis's affair. If you guys remember, I think that was back in like January, February this year, 2024. And this pretty much opened up a Pandora's box for the DA's office because revelations came out one after another. It pretty much got to a point where it was no longer about Donald Trump's Georgia election interference case. It was more about Nathan Wade and Fanny Willis's undercover relationship. But now, while it's, true that the investigations are being done as we speak, it's still unclear as to why she's still in office because, there's a ton of evidence out there that pretty much shows how corrupt she is. I mean, just take the YSL RICO trial where her team is obviously working with the judge. They're out there allegedly intimidating witnesses, and it's the defense team that's being held in criminal contempt. But what do we hear from Fanny Willis? Well, Fanny Willis will tell us it's all about race. And, this is about her being a black woman who holds power in Fulton County and people can't understand it. So I got to ask you guys, is it that? Is it because she's a black woman who holds a lot of power in Fulton County? But other people are saying, in reality, race has nothing to do with it. In fact, it never had anything to do with it. It's always been about her actions and the actions of the people around her. So you got to ask, what's really happening here, guys? We can go back to August last year when Georgia Governor Brian Kemp rejected the GOP calls for special session to impeach the district attorney. Y'all remember that? So it's gotten to a point where a lot of folks are asking, they're saying, does Fanny have something over the governor? Does she have some information, some intel, video or pictures, or something that's, that she holds over the governor to keep her protected? So this is what a lot of folks are asking. But here's what Brian Kemp had to say last year. He said, quote, we have a law in the state of Georgia that clearly outlines the legal steps that can be taken if constituents believe their local prosecutors are violating their oath by engaging in unethical or illegal behavior. Up to this point, I have not seen any evidence that DA Willis's actions or lack thereof warrant action by the Prosecuting Attorney Oversight Commission, end quote. So can you believe this guy? I mean, really? Nothing that would make you wonder, at least kind of poke around and make sure everything's on the up and up, make sure everything's copacetic. Nothing at all that would make you say, hey, maybe we should look a little into this, right? I mean, it really just kind of makes you question what's really going on inside these offices. If a prosecutor who uses up thousands of dollars of taxpayer money can be indicted on felony charges, then what would the charges be for Fanny Willis? Now, I'm not saying Woodard is innocent at all here. I'm not saying that. But, she's got to face consequences for her actions. I get it. But if you're going to do something like this, then should it at least apply to each public official within your jurisdiction? And so this is why a lot of experts are wondering if Brian Kemp is somehow protecting Fanny Willis from any kind of, legal consequences. But what do y'all think? Now, this kind of reminds me of a previous video I did about the YSL RICO trial of Young Thug in Fulton County. I'll leave a link for you guys for that video down below in the description. But another case that shows the true colors of the people in office over there. So you guys are going to definitely want to check that video out. I discussed something that's incredibly shady that the judge did, that they're hiding from the public. So anyway, definitely check that out after this one. But appreciate it, Daniel Jarrell. Stay cool, stay safe. Michelle Struck said, I moved from New Jersey to Georgia, and it's like moving from one political cesspool to another. Oh my God. Guadalupe says, this is some case. Yeah. Somebody's talking about Mr. Magoo in the comments. Let's see. Because these people have been entrusted by the people, they should be held to the highest standard of the law. I agree with you, Jim Brummer. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of you guys are not happy. Samuel Yo says, Mr. Magoo governor. They all have something over each other's head. Guadalupe Rubino, appreciate the valuable comment. This is kind of like, I don't know how many of you guys watched that series with Kevin Spacey back in the day. I think it was called House of Cards. If you have not seen that video or that series, I think it's on Netflix. maybe Amazon Prime. But anyway, phenomenal series. Now, I will say that the series is amazing for the first several seasons, but it fell off for me right around when Kevin Spacey was no longer part of the cast because of something that happened with him outside of the recording studios. So I think he came up on some charges or something like that. Anyway, amazing series, but it really shed a lot of light into what could theoretically be happening in our justice system with our politicians and lawmakers and judges and DAs. I mean, it's crazy. The Secret Service, the president, all the way up to the president, what they're doing, what how much collusion and covert planning and actions are taken. And I'm not saying all of that is true, but what I am saying is they got that idea for that series from somewhere. So, and it is highly believable. And I would not be shocked in the least bit to find out that 90% of it was true, or at least possible. So anyway, I know it's an old series, that House of Cards, but definitely a good series to watch. But yeah, if you guys haven't already, please take a second, hit the like button for the video, share this video. Thank you so much for subscribing, and I'm gonna see you guys on the next one.